Hi everybody, I'm happy to be here. We're off to have an adventure together in how to discover the energy of the human hand and how it works and really start to own it as part of our bodies. My name is David Cushing Fease. I've been a healer for 35 years or more, and I've treated about 40,000 people. I figure that's about 80,000 hands, about 400,000 fingers. And I know a little bit about what I'm talking about. I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I've been a polarity therapist for many, many years, and I've taught around the world, 10 years at the Healing Arts Festivals in London and Sydney in Australia. I've taught in Mexico and India, and I've taught at 2 acupuncture schools, and I'm putting this on DVD so that we can share it with a lot more people. We're going to talk about how to heal your hands. And it's my feeling that it's our divine right to know, to connect with our own hands rather than have them be some distant part of our body that does tasks but that we're not associated with. So I'm looking to connect your brain with your hands. So what I'm going to teach you is I'm going to teach you how to heal yourself by working on your own hands. And it's going to be very clear to you by the end of our time together that that's possible and very, very effective. We've come to a point in our society where basically healthcare is becoming unaffordable, and we're going to learn how to heal ourselves by changing our diet, by changing our emotions, by doing yoga. It's happening all over the planet. And so this is part of that process where everybody's going to grab hold of their own evolution and heal themselves, and rather than expect it to be done from the outside or being lazy about our own process. We're going to learn to balance the left brain with the right brain. We're going to learn how to open up the chakras of the body and how to balance them. We know for sure through the different systems that there are energy centers in the body at the top of the head, at the third eye, at the throat, at the heart, digestion, reproduction, and elimination. And all of those show up in the maps of the hand. I'm going to work with you in showing you how to open up the healing power of your hand so that maybe when you touch a child or when you touch a friend or a lover, that the healing power of your hands will be open and the sensitivity in a new way that's very exciting and very effective. I'm going to teach you a lot of different tricks about how your hands can work with your interior body. I'm going to show you headache points in the body, in the hand, to how to relieve headaches. I'm going to teach you how to release your neck and your shoulders, to reduce stress and to improve your digestion. And in a sense, we hope that you're actually going to meet yourself. You're going to unify the left and the right side of your body and come to center. And so that's my secret plot for what we're doing. I'm going to teach you different maps of the body. There's a lot of people who have worked on maps of consciousness and physical maps of the body. And I'm going to show you a map of polarity therapy. I'm going to show you a map of acupuncture and by association reflexology maps in the body. The first map I'm going to talk about is the polarity map, and it has to do with positive and neutral and negative energy in the body. And it's going to become very obvious as I show you how the hand works. Basically, the top of the head is positive, the belly button is neutral, and the bottom of the feet or the perineum is going to be your negative part of your body. And we're going to learn how to balance that. It's very similar to what the Chinese might call yin and yang. And this is evident throughout all societies. So we have the sun and the moon, we have gold and silver, we have acid and alkaline, and these principles are everywhere. We have the North Pole and the South Pole and the equator, and the ideas transpose out literally into the universe. Dr. Randolph Stone was the founder of polarity therapy. He lived in Chicago. He wrote his books, and the charts that we're going to see are from 1948, 49, and 50. And he was maybe the great genius of the 20th century as far as explaining energy in the human body. And in the old days, it was very little known, and now it's widely known through the American Polarity Therapy Association and a lot of different international organizations. When you look at the palm of the hand, there are 60 to 80,000 nerve endings in the palm of the hand, and that's extraordinary. And if you were to see a drawing of the amount of the brain that's associated with the hand, it would really amaze you as far as the connection between the brain and the hand. We're always going to remember that the brain always wants oxygen, so we're going to try to oxygenate our brain and our body as much as we possibly can. Dr. Stone used to say that God geometrizes, that there's a geometric pattern inside of the body, and that the energy flows in organized ways, and they're going to become obvious by the time that we're done. We have to remember the basic healing principles that come from Hermes and Mercury, who said, as above, so below. That we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. And if we are the macrocosm, the hand map is the microcosm. If we are the macrocosm, the ear map in acupuncture is the microcosm. So we're going to examine these maps and figure out how they work. I'm going to talk a lot about the opposable thumb. I have some pictures here that are quite extraordinary that were taken many, many years ago. And this is the baby inside of the womb, inside of the uterus, and these are the hands, extremely well developed. And if you look down here, this is the baby at 18 weeks. You can see the hands are extremely well developed. And by the 20th week, the baby has a very, very distinct thumb and has blood vessels moving throughout the hand. So, who knows? Maybe you're sucking your thumb while you're inside of the womb. Or if you've got a twin brother, you're wrestling in there. I don't know. But you've got hands from a very, very early time. And the longer the baby gestates up to birth, the more effective, the more well-developed the hands are going to be. So these are very exciting images. And it'll remind us that all of us spent approximately 9 months in the womb. And that's an amazing thought. Before we popped out and had to deal with life itself. So there's 27 bones in the human hand, and there's 14 phalanges in the fingers, and there's 8 bones in this part of the hand by the wrist. And I'm going to talk a little bit about physiology. I'm going to talk a little bit about energy. I'm going to show another drawing from Dr. Stone. These books can be found in Polarity Therapy Volume 1 and Volume 2. And these are very extraordinary. This basically shows the electromagnetic system of the body. You see it circulating all around in what we might call the aura. You have the symbol for the medical profession in the middle, which is called the caduceus. It's the straight line and then 2 snakes on either side, a little ball at the top. And these represent energy. So the middle line is neutral, which is the spine. The right of the human body is positive. The left of the human body is negative. So you have positive, neutral, and negative energy. And each place that these snakes, or this positive and negative current, crosses is what the Indians call a chakra, or an energy center of your body. And they're directly related to the hands, as we shall see. And in this particular case, the energy is coming in on the left of the hands and coming out on the right, which is one reason why we will use our right hand for healing or touching somebody a lot more than the left. So it's a beautiful diagram, and nobody's done better diagrams than these since they were done. The physiology of the human hand is quite extraordinary. The human hand is made up of 27 bones, but we forget that we have bones inside of our hands. And what this picture is to remind you that we have these extraordinary bones within our hands. These are the small bones of the hand. These are the main bones of the phalanges, 1, 2, and 3 like this. So if you were to imagine your hand and look at it and really realize that inside of that hand is a whole series of bones which create structure and have extraordinary movement and extraordinary ability to rotate and move back and forth and do all kinds of things like play the piano or the cello or the drums or all kinds of technical things that are quite detailed. And everybody brings a different skill to it. So if you were to pick out the bones in here, they would be the trapezium, the trapezoid, the os magnum, and the unciform, the scaphoid, the semilunar, the cuneiform, and the pisiform. Now, you don't pay any attention to these until they get injured. So if you're a skateboarder, most skateboarders injure the scaphoid bone, the same bone all of the time. Sometimes they're quite hard to heal because they're not well infused with blood. And then if you've ever hit your finger at various times, it awakens your consciousness to it. Otherwise, you're sort of just carrying your hands around with you. All of these bones, except for one of them, have 6 sides to them, which is quite interesting, except the pisiform. And what this does is it creates a field of play for energy. And I'm trying to get people to understand that there's a different consciousness to each finger in your body. There's a different energy, and the polarity is going to show you one map, the acupuncture is going to show you another, and there are several other ways to approach this. And as you approach this as a different intelligence, you're going to see how individuated they are, and that you can access your interior energy system through the individual fingers, which is quite exciting. Sometimes I have people put on little finger puppets or make drawings like this. So this might be the lion, and this might be the ram. These are from Peru, and I once was going to open up a little finger puppet museum, but this is the best I'm going to be able to do. You have an octopus, and you have a toucan, and you have a little mouse here. So if I were going to show you how different the energetics are of each one of your fingers, it might show up as a series of finger puppets. So you might have a conversation with the lion, which would be your thumb, your primary energetic. You might have a picture of the ram of your index finger, which is sometimes associated with the ego, the octopus, the mouse, and the toucan. And so if that makes a fun way for you to discover that the fingers on every hand are quite different, this is a fun way to do it. Sometimes I have people draw little pictures on the tips of their fingers and put little smiling faces and things like that. And it makes things more interesting. So this is another beautiful picture from Dr. Stone. This shows what we might call a horizontal way of looking at things. So the higher you go in the finger, the higher you're going to go into the brain. All of these 3 sections of the finger relate up into the head and the neck and the shoulders. You can see that each one of your fingers is divided up into 3 sections. And it's something that's obvious to us, but we haven't given it much thought. And so we're going to pay more attention to it today. And after I've explained the maps of both polarity therapy and acupuncture, I'm going to teach a protocol of how to work on your own hands. So in the small world, the tip of the finger is positive, the middle is neutral, and the bottom is negative. And this goes throughout the body, and you can see why reflexology works. When you work on the feet and when you work on the hands, it's going to affect the different organs of the body. And the same here, positive, neutral, and negative. And these systems have been very strongly tested out and shown to be very accurate. And again, you can see the top of the head is positive, the belly button is neutral, and the bottom of the feet is negative. So this is a beautiful chart to contemplate as we're starting to learn about how our hands work. And you can imagine with Dr. Stone had this amazing information back in the old days in 1948, 49, and 50, and he was probably alone in his knowledge and probably had very few people to talk to. In general, the back of the hand is what we call motor currents, and the front of the hand is what we call sensory currents. So this is soft, so the front of the human body is soft, and that's sensory currents, and the back is motor. So the back of the hand reflexes to the back of the body, and the front of the hand reflexes to the front of the body. I'd like to draw your attention to the fingernails. And there's something we cut, we keep clean, we bite, but we don't really pay much attention to them until we actually injure them, which I did the other day when I was cleaning. And it really woke up my thumb a lot. The thumbs have moons, and all the fingers have moons. They're very small, like this. Some people have very clear moons, and some people have no moons at all. So somebody say, well, I have 9 moons, or I have 10 moons, or I have no moons at all. But it shows a certain energetic within the body. And the nails are something that we're going to learn how to work on as well. The fingers relate directly to the teeth, and I'm going to teach you techniques for opening up the energy in relation to your teeth. And what to do when you're going to go see the dentist. You know, how can we prepare? So I'm going to teach you little tricks. We have to remember that the body advertises. So if something's going wrong in the body, it's going to show up somewhere in the body if you know how to read the advertisement. Okay? So we say that problems in the hand are related to things that are acute, things that are happening right now. Problems in the feet are more chronic and long-term. So if you want to get immediate results in relation to something that's happening right now, you start to work on your hands. This is a rather extraordinary drawing of the hand that comes from Dr. Randolph Stone. And I'm going to teach how to work on your hand from this point of view. These all relate to internal organs. We are showing between the tendons. These are the tendons, so this is going to be soft and fleshy, and sometimes it's going to be really sore. And we're going to learn how to work on the webbing in the hand and what it does. And they're a little bit different from right to left. And you have the same thing in the fingers if you want to work on the back of the head, the neck here, the back of the head, the upper half of the head, and you work on the back, the part of your hand. And we're going to learn about the wrist and the energy of the wrist and how it affects what's going on. In a minute, we're going to work with the webbing of the hand, and I'm going to explain how all of these reflexes work to heal your body. And I'm going to talk a little bit about acupuncture next. The acupuncture map is similar and different to the polarity map. So we're going to have a look at it, and I'm going to give you information, and what I'd like you to do is just not try to remember everything, but if you get the idea that there's a different consciousness and a different energy that goes to each finger in your body, you're really going to get the idea. And then we'll start to refine it from there. And as you watch this DVD a second or third time, you'll get a better sense of the details. So don't feel overwhelmed as I go through this. There are different meridians in the human body, and we call them underskin rivers of energy. And they run throughout the entire body, and they're intelligent and they're organized. And this chi, or this energy, runs through the body. Now, some people will say, well, you know, maybe there is no chi, or maybe it doesn't exist. But if you go back to the Renaissance and you look at 100,000 paintings in Florence, Jesus has a gold halo around his head. in all of the pictures, and so do the saints. And that was a way of saying, this guy has a phenomenal divine light coming out of his body. And that divine light is a way of talking about the chi in the human body. So in acupuncture, the meridians begin and end in the fingers or the toes. And there's 6 meridians that go through this wrist. So if you know what they are, you're going to be able to heal your hands, and you're going to be able to heal your interior body and to balance the emotions, which is always good. Because if your emotions are balanced, you're going to be a lot healthier. The thumb is the ending point of the lung meridian. So this would be lung 11, and this would be lung 10 right here. They call this fish belly. Okay, and then the lung meridian proceeds through here. The index finger is the large intestine. The middle finger is the pericardium, which is the wrapping of your heart. The ring finger is the triple burner. And the little finger is the heart and the small intestine. Now, if you know where the meridian begins or ends, you can start to work with the body in a different way. So if you find the point that's the last point on the lung meridian, we call it a Jing well point. And it's called a well point because a well is the shallowest point you can go for water, and a well is the shallowest point you can go for qi, a Jing well point. So as we work on our hands, we're going to pay attention to these points by the corners of the nails. The beginning of the large intestine meridian is by the index finger here on the medial side. The pericardium meridian ends at the tip of the middle finger here. And the triple burner meridian begins right here on the outer corner of the ring finger. And the little finger has 2 meridians. This is the end of the heart meridian, and this is the beginning of the small intestine. So as we start to understand this meridian system that comes through the wrist, 6 meridians, and how they go to the fingers, we have a different map on how to understand the hand. And that can be pretty exciting as you start to see that your hand is really an electromagnetic energy. And if the energy is very, very small, you're going to be functioning like that. But if it's very balanced and very expanded, you're going to have a different experience in your life, and you're going to have a different experience with other people. And I tell people, if your electromagnetic system is strong, you're going to attract to you the things that you want, people, jobs, money, evolution, spirituality, experiences that you might not have had before. So we're going to learn how to open up our electromagnetic system. So thank you for listening so far. I'm going to take you into a protocol for how to work on your hands, and hopefully it's going to be fun. We're going to start working on our left hand, particularly if you're right-handed. If you want to do it the other way around, you can do that too. And it's a very simple protocol, and if you get it as a rhythm and as a fun thing, you can be watching television and be working on yourself. You can be at a stoplight maybe and working on yourself. You can find it in a lot of different situations where you actually are actively working on your hands and literally actively working on your own health and your own evolution. So yeah, once you've gotten used to doing that, then it just becomes a natural thing. And then you'll find yourself doing it and not even know that you're doing it because it's such a natural thing. So if we know in polarity therapy that these 3 sections of the hand are related to the top part of the brain, the middle part of the face, and the neck and shoulders coming down into here, if we work on it, we're going to start to free that energy system. In polarity therapy, they have a different sense of the elements, okay? And you don't have to remember this right away. We're going to work on it slowly. This would be ether, which would be high spiritual, which is one of the reasons why the thumb is going to be so important in this process. This is air, this is fire, this is water, and this is earth. And this is known throughout all of the spiritual traditions. They might have one different word or another. But if you understand the elements, that ether is everywhere, air is what we breathe, fire comes from the sun, water from the rain and composes most of our body, and then earth is our grounding element. And we can see that in the chakra system of the body as well. So if ether can be high spiritual, some people put it at the throat. Air is your breath. Fire is your digestion. Water is your reproductive system. And earth is the base of your spine and your root of your body. So as you work on these different intelligences of your fingers, you're going to be able to touch each one of the chakras in your body. And it's going to be bilateral. We're going to do both sides. So as you're sitting there, we can start to work on the little finger. And we're going to start to massage the pad of that little finger, which is also a sinus reflex, both in the fingers and in the toes. And what are you doing here? Let's say if we were going to put a mental concept to it, we're going to be massaging literally the top of our head. And I might take you a little bit more quickly through it, but you can start to work it at your own pace. And you'll see the color starts to change because the blood starts to infuse these points. And as you start to see the color change in the finger, you're going to see oxygen coming to that point, and you're going to be seeing old sludge, old stuck energy start to move out of that point and be eliminated from your body. And then you can take your next finger and you can start to do the same thing. If this were earth element, this would be the base of your spine. Some people would wear a silver ring on this finger to calm down hemorrhoids because it's the root chakra. With the ring finger, this is reproduction. It's one reason why people wear a gold ring on this finger when they get married, because the gold enhances reproduction and the silver cools that energy. So we're going to start to massage this and start to awaken that energy. And you'll see that the color, the whole color starts to change, and you're going to start to get some life force in your hand. Now, if you have a lot of pain in your hands or you have a lot of arthritis, you're going to want to find your own pace, something that works for you. You don't want to hurt yourself. And if you feel like you need to consult with your healthcare practitioner or your doctor, please feel free to. And then we're going to do the middle finger here. And this would be the pericardium in acupuncture, but in polarity, this is the fire element. And this can be a pretty fiery sign if you're driving on the freeways of Los Angeles or something like that. And I'm going to show you another way to look at it. So the pericardium is the wrapping of your heart. Peri means wrapping, and cardium means heart. And again, we're awakening the top of the head, we're awakening the middle of the face, and we're awakening the bottom of the face and the neck, like that. And then we go to the index finger, which is air, and this is a finger that's closely associated with the heart in polarity therapy. And we're going to start to awaken that. And then we're going to start to awaken the energy of the thumb. Now, there's no way I can really tell you about the extraordinary importance of the thumb. It literally can be a life or death situation if you're in, let's say, the Colosseum in Roman times. You live, you die. And the thumb is what really separates us from all what we call the lower animals, is that we have this ability to move. Some people say, oh yeah, you can pick up a tool or you can pick up a weapon and hit somebody with it. But it's much more sophisticated than that. There's a high energetic to the thumb, and it's called a saddle joint. It's different from the other joints of the body. And it has this incredible ability to move all different kinds of directions. And it allows us to do things that are unimaginable. But if you were to tape your thumb down and you could only work with the four fingers, you'd have a very, very different kind of life. So we're going to pay attention to the thumb, and we're going to massage it and give it a lot of love. Now you can do the backs of the fingers as well. These are going to be more motor currents. Now, a lot of times as the body advertises, you're going to start to see maybe a little split in the skin, or you're going to start to see a skin change or a pimple or something come up on your hands. You've probably seen it in your life and never paid much attention to it. But what we're doing is we're learning how to be detectives to our own system. And we're learning that if the body advertises, we want to be able to read the advertisement. And the sooner you read the advertisement, the faster you can start to figure out what the problem is in your body. So we're going to work on the back of the fingers like that. And we're going to pay particular attention to the corners of the nails, which are the beginnings and ends of the acupuncture meridians. So this would be the end of the lung meridian, the beginning of the large intestine meridian. The tip here would be the end of the pericardium meridian, and the triple burner meridian begins on the corner here. So we've done all of the fingers. And now we're going to work on the fingernails. Now this is going to come a little bit as a surprise to a lot of people because, most of the time we just, we cut our fingernails and we have them worked on, but we don't actually physically work on them. And when you start to massage your fingernails, let's say you bend down the end of the fingernail, sometimes it's very painful. So go in there a little slowly and start to feel whether there's any discomfort in there, and then give a massage to the whole fingernail. We say the fingernails are the window to the liver as well. Now, when this has been sore on me, it's been like extraordinarily sore, and it's like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm carrying around that pain with me and I didn't know it. So when you find something sore, you want to try to tease it out of your body rather than attack it. Now, when I jammed this fingernail here, it was really, really sore, and then I started to work on it, and it started to move the pain out of it. I started to bring the blood there. I started to bring the oxygen there. I started to bring the chi there, and now it's like really significantly better. And the beauty is that even though it's a little discolored, it's going to grow out, in a miraculous way that the body heals itself. So sometimes you'll get little spots on your fingernails. One of the things I like to do is if you get one spot on your fingernail, like a white spot, I would figure out how long it took the fingernail to grow out to there. And sometimes you can go back and say, oh yeah, I was sick 2 weeks ago, I was sick a month ago, and it shows up in the finger. And then if you know what the finger is, that this is ether, air, fire, water, earth, or lungs, large intestine, pericardium, triple burner being upper burner, middle burner, lower burner, or heart and small intestine. You can start to diagnose yourself and start to trace it back and to see how you feel in your own body. And so now we're going to work the spaces in between the fingers. Now these are very, very strong neck reflexes, and just about everybody has problems with their neck or has had some kind of a neck injury. And so this is going to start to release your neck, and sometimes you go in there and you say, God, that's really sore. And in my system, soreness indicates blockage. And as the soreness diminishes or disappears, it means that the healing energy is coming, the life force is coming, the reflex is being healed and cured, and you're getting better. And then you say, oh yeah, my neck is better. So we're going to go in there in between each one of the fingers like that, and give it a nice little massage and pay attention to it. And we're going to work all the way along the ridge here. That would be a neck reflex. And as you can see from the polarity charts, which I showed you, you can see horizontally that if you are working on this part of your fingers and the base here, it's going to reflex to your neck and your shoulders, and you're going to get a very nice release out of it. So that's a good thing to remember. I'm going to talk a little bit about the webbing of the between the thumb and the index finger. And if you really get this idea, it's really going to be exciting. I'm going to talk about a polarity map, and I'm going to talk about an acupuncture map. If you're working the webbing between your on your left hand, it's going to release your heart in general. And if you're working on your right hand, it's going to release your liver. Okay, so that's a big overview. And all of the chakras are represented in this V as well. So Dr. Stone says respiratory diaphragm releases. So if you want to improve your breathing, and particularly smokers, if you want to pay attention up in here, it will really encourage you to quit smoking. And this is the gallbladder reflex. This is ascending colon coming up here on the right side. And then as you go lower, the ileocecal valve and the reflex to the left shoulder and cardiac muscles, and then the psoas magnus here. And then on the other side, very similar, respiratory, digestive, elimination, descending colon, okay? And this would be on your left side. And then you would circulatory sigmoid valve, reflexes to the heart. So as we learn to work on this, it's going to become very easy to do. So you hold your hand like this, and we're going to start to work on the very top here. And we're going to massage right where it attaches right in there. And we're going to work our way across the top and work where it attaches over on this side. And then we're going to go a little bit lower, and we're going to get into some real fleshy parts. And that reflex is going to release your heart on the left side. And we're going to work a little bit deeper into if this were a V like that, you're going to work down into the V so that you're down in the very bottom part. And anything that's sore, you're going to pay attention to. And the trick is not to work hard and not to work fast. The idea is that you're going to think long term, and you're going to do a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and then in the end, you're not going to have any soreness in there, and you're going to have a lot of energy clarity inside of your hand. And one of the things we'll find is sometimes one side will be totally sore and the other side won't be, or sometimes they'll both be sore, or sometimes, if you're lucky, they'll both be clear. So as we're doing this, I'm going to switch to the acupuncture model. Probably the best known acupuncture point in the United States is a point called large intestine 4. It's right in the middle here, and it's the top of the mound, and it's in the middle of all of this. And in polarity, it would be a digestive reflex. So we're thinking large intestine as well. And this point here is known as a headache release point. So if you've got a headache, you can, or if somebody else does, you can massage for them or teach them how to do this. This is known in secretarial pools from New York to Los Angeles. Everybody knows that this is a headache release point, and the information is spreading strongly. And one of the reasons why is that the large intestine meridian begins here by the corner of this nail, and it comes up through the crook in the arm, through the shoulder, and it ends on this side of the face. So this left side ends on the right, and the other side does exactly the same thing, and it ends on the left. So as I explained in my previous videos on how to heal yourself with acupressure, the energy crosses and opens up. So it's good for teeth, it's good for your eyes, it's good for sinuses, it's good for headaches, and it's widely used in acupuncture. So it's a good point to know. And anything that opens up energy to your head, where your head is communicating with your lower body, you're going to be feeling better and you're going to be happier. So important to keep that in mind. So as we've done this part of the hand, we're going to work our way down between the tendons in the front like this. And later on in a minute, we're going to work on the back, but I want to get the front first. And this would be the heart meridian coming through here. Where this little finger touches when you bend it, is going to be heart 8, and it's a point that's used a lot to balance emotions. And so you want to pay attention to there. Is it sore in there? How does it feel? And then we're going to come down between the tendons in the palm of the hand. And remember, you know, the hand was revered as a healing device in Christianity and all the different religions. You see the Muslims contemplating their hands like this. You see people praying like that. So the energy of the hands is tremendously important. The Tibetans would put an eye here in their Thangka paintings. And we're going to come up between there, and then we'll come back for one more time in the webbing of the hand, large intestine 4, and our heart release point. And you can also get, this is called the Mound of Venus, and these are powerful reflexes in the body. And this is also the lung meridian, called this fish belly. Okay, now we're going to come back to a chart that we looked at before. And this is going to be your left hand. And you don't have to remember all of this. It's more a question of going through the process, and then later on you can check these out again. So this would be prostate or uterus, the perineum, the base down here in the rectum. So if you had hemorrhoids or something like that, or prostate problems, which are very common now, you would work on this. And this is between the tendons. These are the tendons here. So this is the soft, fleshy part. Then you have kidneys, and you have the 3 parts of the small intestine in this next here, the jejunum, the duodenum, and the ileum, which is when you improve your small intestine, you improve your food absorption significantly. And then you have diaphragm, respiration, and lungs and heart. And then here, brachial plexus, which has to do with breathing, and currents to the heart and stomach. And up here at the top of this, again, we have neck, similar to what we did before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we work on that. And it's very, very simple. And you just hold your hands like this, and you bring your fingers like this with your thumb in the palm or up, and you can start to massage like that, either with all your fingers, or you can go with an individual finger like that. And when you go in there and you say, oh, yeah, I found this really sore spot. And then what are you going to do? You're going to work on it really hard? No, you're going to just tease the energy out. So you go down in a little spiral till you find the soreness, hold it for a second, and then you release it. You give it somewhere to go. If you're always attacking a point, it closes down, and then you don't get to have the benefit of it. When the point closes down, then you lose the connection. So we're going to work right through there and work all the way up to the back neck reflexes. The back of your neck is also very important. And then you go up into the next set between here. You're going to be working with your kidneys and your small intestine. And again, you're looking for soreness. And if there's no soreness, you just give it a little massage, bring the blood, bring the energy to that point, and then you let it go. And then you do the third part up here, diaphragm and respiration, lungs and heart. So if you improve your respiration, you're going to get more oxygen to your body, and you're going to get more oxygen to your brain and more oxygen to your tissues, and you're going to feel better, and you're going to be healthier. So these are all beneficial moves. Like I'm a little tender in here. I'm going to pay a little attention to that, and I'm going to work on it, give it a little attention, and I'm not going to try to attack it. I'm going to stimulate it, and then I'm going to let it go, and I'm going to move on, and I'm going to remember, come back and check this again. So this is a way to diagnose yourself, and it's a way to heal yourself. So if somebody has, let's say, hemorrhoids, they would go right in this first point and say, oh, yeah, that was really sore. Why is that a reflex? This is more, and you remember that the hands are acute, and the feet are chronic. So we've done the webbing here, which is similar to these. We've opened up all of these lines of energy in the top of our hands. So very, very effective. So we've learned how to open up headaches, nose, eyes, and teeth. And if you're going to go to the dentist, this is a great place to start to massage. This and your earlobes. And when you do this, by the time you get to the dentist, your energies, the healing energy of your mouth and your teeth is going to be open. and, and quite effective. So I'm going to take you in a little bit into how the teeth work. It's quite remarkable that the base of the fingernail, where the moons would be, is where you're going to pay attention to. And you can go in there with your fingernail and just stimulate the very base by the cuticle of your fingernail. And in polarity therapy, this little finger and the ring finger release your molars in the back on that same side. And the middle finger is going to release the two bicuspids. And I'm a little tender through there. I saw the dentist yesterday. I was happy to. And then the index finger is one canine that you would rip meat with. And then the base of the thumb would be the incisors, your two incisors in the middle. So you can use this as a little bit of a diagnostic, but you can also, if you know what particular tooth is bothering you in a toothache, you can have somebody hold that relative finger with one hand and put the other hand over the where it's sore, and it will create a circuit that will start to heal the problem. So a lot of times people can get a real relief in a toothache from working these particular points. So it's a nice little secret. Okay, two molars, and then the bicuspids, and the canine, and the incisors. So it's a good trick to know. So I'm going to teach you a really fabulous neck release point in the hand that works like a charm. So the first thing you would do is you would go into your body and relax and just turn your head to the one side and then to the other, and realize what is your range of motion. Where do you start to bind up a little bit like that? Go to your right, see where it stops, and go to your left. And one side might be dramatically more than the other as to what your neck is, and a lot of people can't even look over their shoulders to back up their cars. So we're going to hold up the hand like this, and then we're going to run our thumb until we hit the base of this bone here, at the base of the little finger. And we're going to give that a massage all around the base of the bone, like that. And you would do this bilaterally if you were doing it properly yet. So, and then once you've got that, you're going to hold that contact, and then you're going to turn your head, and you're going to say, I get another inch, 2 inches of motion on this side, and I get another 2 inches of motion on that side. So you're going to have your own experience. If it really changes, you know you've got something good. So this is a really good trick to teach people how to do. And while you're at it, you massage this whole line here, which is a small intestine meridian line. And anything that's sore in there, you pay attention to. So that's a nice trick, and it works bilaterally. And it's always nice to have a mobility in your neck. Okay, so I'm going to do something that we used to do as children. It's called like a rope burn. We're going to hold and we're going to twist so that you stimulate the whole finger like that. And you only do it as hard as going to be comfortable for you. You know, if you've got a lot of arthritis in your hands, you want to be very conservative. And the arthritis in the United States is just absolutely out of this world. We're in the millions and millions and millions, and it's very strongly attacking women more than men. So it's something to pay attention to. And as women are living longer than men, it's something to pay a lot more attention to. So let's see if we can get the problem in the bud rather than deal it when it's fully blown. So if you take care of your hands properly, you're going to avoid a lot of these problems or lessen them. Now, obviously, there's going to be some genetic inheritance in this process, but you can change just about anything with your emotions and your mind and your diet and your exercise. So then you go on to the next, and you're going to do the same thing, stimulate the whole finger. You're going to bring the life force like that. And then the middle finger. Then the index finger. And you notice I'm twisting both in opposite directions. And then your thumb. Okay, now we understand that all the elements are coming through to the fingers, but if you remember that in acupuncture there's 6 meridians coming through the wrist, then you want to make sure that you have an open wrist. And that can be done through just experience and working on it. So if you want to hold your hand and you want to rotate 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the other direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And pay attention to what your range of motion is, because it might improve as you go along dramatically. And as you open up the energy through your wrists, your whole body is going to heal. The wrist is a reflex to your sacrum, the base of your spine, and that's always good to release, and your hips. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to bend each finger backwards. And in Thailand, the dancers can touch this finger to the back of the hand, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. We're not going to do that, I don't think so. But what we're going to do is we're going to take the finger and we're going to bend it backwards, not to the point of pain, but to the point where we're going to start to open up the energy through the wrist here, and we're going to stretch the tendon. So this is kind of a fun thing. You just move it a little bit, a little bit, a little bit, and as you do this over a period of time, it's going to start to open up more and more. And then you take your ring finger and you do the same thing, and you see it's a little tighter. And then once you get to a point where you can just hold it like that, you breathe, and just relax. Let that move. And then you let it go, come back another time, and then you're going to do pericardium. And fire element, you're going to do large intestine and air. And you're going to do lungs and ether, same thing. Okay, and then you're going to open up your hand like this. And start to move your fingers a little bit. Start to bring the intelligence to your fingers, open them up a little bit. And then the next thing that we're going to do is something that everybody's going to have to find their own way on as to what they're doing. So we've learned how to bend our fingers backwards easily and slowly, not doing it too strong, and that opens up the energy of these channels coming up through here. And we've learned to rotate our wrists. And also anything that's going to strengthen your hands, like getting a soft ball and strengthening your hands like that, is going to help a lot. As you're opening up the wrist, anything that you do, any indentation that there is around the wrist, you just jump right in there with an index finger like that and you start to open it up all the way around the wrist. And then I'm going to teach you one kind of fun thing that, even though it's not quite in the hand, it's very important to know. This bump here, most people consider to be just one bone. And what it is the meeting point of the radius and the ulna. And it's just a fun thing. It's a fun thing to teach kids to put their finger on top of this very lightly. And then as you turn your hand, you're going to feel the two bones open and close. You can actually feel the groove in that particular bone. Spend a little moment in there until you actually find it and you feel it open and close. And in acupuncture, we actually use that as small intestine 6. We put a needle between the two bones, and that's used for eyesight in older people. So it's a fun thing to do. It's bilateral, and when people find that, their eyes just light up and they go, oh my God, I thought this was a solid bone all my life. But that's what allows you to turn your hand like that. It's the miracle. And if those two bones were fused, you would have to turn your whole arm in order to do anything. So this joint is almost as important as what you can do with your thumb, because it gives you enormous mobility in how to move about. And if that were frozen, you'd be in real trouble. So we have an idea here, and I'm going to spend a little moment here honoring Korean hand acupuncture, where they treat only the hand. And there's 150 points in the hand, but the one that I want you to pay attention to is just the middle. This is the pericardium finger, the fire finger, and what this chart is saying is that the entire body is located from the tip of this finger down to the base of your wrist. So this is very important to know. You can see that the tip of this pericardium 9 relates to the top of your head. So if the top of your head is open, you're going to be clearer, you're going to be happier. And then you basically, the same way as in the polarity charts, everything is directly related to its height in your body, and will also obviously open up the chakras, the crown chakra, the throat, the digestion, the reproduction, and the base. And you can find it all in the hand, and this is a bilateral. So it's a fun kind of thing to know. So I hope everybody's having fun doing that. I'm going to teach one more thing here on the hand, and then, this hand is calling out, but we're going to wait on it just a minute. One of the things I truly believe in, but everybody's going to have to find their own way, so don't come and complain later, is that I like to stretch the fingers. And you can do it gently, or if you open it up, you can actually open up the actual physical joint like that. 1, 2, 3, and you can actually open up this thumb joint like that. And that opens up the flow of chi. Now, mothers in particular have always complained about children cracking their knuckles. And one of the reasons is that people bend their knuckles to crack them, and that will injure your knuckles. But if you're pulling straight out, you're actually opening up space between the joints and bringing the life force through. And when you hear that popping sound, you actually, that's air coming into the joints and the life force. And you can wait 15 minutes and sometimes it'll pop again. But as that starts to open up, you're going to get the life force down, ether, air, fire, water, earth, lungs, large intestine, pericardium, triple burner, heart, and small intestine. So it's a nice trick. So one of the things I'd like you to do, let's say if we've done one hand and we haven't done the other, is to sit for a minute and go inside of your body and just stop. And feel inside of your body, go into your breath, let your mind relax, and you might feel some tingling moving through your body. You might feel some warmth. You might feel some colors moving. I feel energy all over my body right now. So pay attention and go inside and feel if the left arm feels different than the right. Feel if your left hand feels different than your right hand. And you can spend 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes just sitting in there, and you'll be surprised what you feel inside of your body. I would go up and see how the left side of your brain feels, the left side of your head versus the right side of your head, because we're giving a lot of stimulation to this left hand. So for me, all that energy that I felt circulating and whooshing throughout my whole body has calmed down. I feel a lot of heat in my left side of my head. And then if you go like this and say, well, what's the difference? Does my left hand feel different from my right? And my left hand does feel dramatically different from my right. And everybody's going to have a different experience. There are people who have very long aesthetic hands and maybe play the piano and paint, and there's people who work and really, really hard with their hands, and they're going to have like thicker, stronger hands. I did 30 hours of serious gardening a few weeks ago, and literally it changed the muscles in all my hands. I was sawing limbs and things like that. So that was a good teacher for me, that even 30 hours just completely changed how my hands related to the world. So how does that feel? Feel good? So that's the kind of hand you want to walk around with, something that's open and free and clear. So if I were going to take you through it really quickly, we're going to do the three different parts of the hand like this, and the thumb we're going to do between the tendons on the palm. We're going to spend a lot of time in the webbing of the hand here and see how that is. Okay, we're going to do the mound of Venus and lung 10. We're going to do the fingernails. We're going to bend them down, and on this side it might be clear or it might be a lot more sore. We're going to work through that. We're going to check the base of all of the fingernails like that. We're going to work the back motor currents. Okay, and then we're going to do in between like that, like that, like that. We're going to work the small intestine neck release point. We're going to rotate our wrists like that. We're going to work all the way around. We're going to bend our fingers back like this. Easy, easy, easy. Then we're going to give our fingers a nice little stretch like that. And we're going to open it up. And that would be a similar quick protocol for the other hands, because we're going to move on to a couple of other things. I would like very much for people to take themselves and take their children. I'm going to show a chart, and this is actually not one that I did for this particular talk. It's something I did just for fun quite some time ago. So what you do is you lay your hand down, and then you take a pen and you trace it out, or a magic marker or something like that, and you trace out the hand exactly the way it is. And then you say, okay, how do I feel energetically about my hand? And then you start to get some crayons and some colors and different things. And you start to say, well, how do I feel about the energy? What kind of symbols could I put in here? So this was a drawing that I did of my hand, I don't know, a year or two ago. And so this is kind of fun. So it shows the aura, the energy coming off the whole hand and coming off the individual fingers. It shows how I felt about the channels coming up on the inside and almost a finger within a finger, the palm of the hands, and remembering all those bones that were here in the palm of the hand, which we didn't spend a lot of time with because they're very close to each other. But if those bones didn't move, you couldn't do this. Those bones all compensate when you move your hand. So it's like that and like that. If you could see an X-ray picture of how they move, it's very, very dramatic. And so you would do one hand and then do the other hand like this. And so maybe you might get a totally different feeling from one hand to the other. And so this is fun, and kids love to do it. Just have them draw their own hand out and then give them crayons and say, if you had energy coming out of your hand, what would it look like? And they'll draw the most amazing pictures for you. It'll make you really happy. So I think that's kind of a good exercise to do. And sometimes you might do it before you start working on your hands, and then as you progress, the quality of your picture might change. Your colors might change. So you have an idea of what the protocol is for working on your hands. It's very, very effective. I'm going to talk a couple of minutes about diet and a couple of things that you can put in your body to help your hands, and that I think are effective. Everything basically really comes down to diet and exercise. The basic American diet is a nightmare, and you have to look at yourself and say, I'm not going to play. I'm not going to be part of that. I want to feel good. And that it's not all based on the senses. You can get fabulous sensations and tastes and everything out of really healthy foods. And the first thing is you drink really good quality water. And you drink a lot of it. Because the water is going to flush your kidneys, it's going to flush your liver, it's going to flush all the cells of your body. And most people don't drink enough water. And one of the reasons they don't drink enough water is that they don't have good quality water. So spend some time doing some research and find out, how can I get good quality water into my body? If your body's 80% water, it's a no-brainer. So if you remember, you are what you eat. One of the worst things you can do is spend a lot of time eating a lot of fast foods. Really take a look at that and see what your lifestyle is, because basically in fast foods they want to hook you, and the way they hook you is by getting it literally into your DNA of your taste buds, that tastes really good, but it's usually got terrible oils in it, and the quality of the food would scare you if you knew where it came from. So give that some thought. And everybody really, really has to look at their exercise. The people who are sitting there a lot of times with really bad arthritis and bad hands and stuff like that, a lot of times they haven't exercised. They've been very, very sedentary. And what we call the sludge in the blood gets stuck in the joints. And so when we start to move this, we start to move the sludge in the joints, and we start to bring the life force and the blood and the oxygen through, and then it comes alive, and then it doesn't get stuck in the joints. And that goes for your whole body. So the very most conservative is 30 minutes of aerobic exercise 3 times a week. For anybody who has joint problems, walking, swimming, bicycling, things that are not high impact. And when you gain weight, the impact on your body is huge. It increases exponentially as you gain weight. And another thing is to keep in mind that if you have soreness in your hands, you wake up in the morning and you've got soreness in your hands that wasn't there, you say, what did I eat the night before or 2 nights ago? Did I have like 3 glasses of wine? And you go like, God, I'm just not functioning very well. So, maybe you need to drink 1 glass of wine. So we're into everything in moderation and extreme limitation of sugar, of any kind of processed sugar. Everybody knows this. We say sugar is a disease magnet, with the exception of really, really good chocolate, which is permissible. Nicotine constricts the blood vessels. So if you're a smoker, you're just headed for trouble. All the sludge of the smoke is going to go into your bloodstream. It's going to settle in your body because you're not cleaning it out, for one thing. And when the blood vessels constrict from the nicotine, you're not getting life force into your body. So that's tremendously important. We want everybody to consume omega-3s and omega-6s, which you can get from really good quality fish oils. You can go on Mercola.com, MERCOLA.com, looking for health products. Omega-6s can be in flax oil, it can be in hemp oil, and I like people to put a really big dollop of it inside of their smoothie or in their salad oil, and that's hugely beneficial to the joints. And also to cook with really good quality oil like olive oil or maybe a canola oil. For people with carpal tunnel, which is epidemic because of computers and things like that, go on the internet and look for ergonomic sites where you can get proper support for your wrists, and you also have to take a break every 15 or 20 minutes. And most people are in the computers for an hour and a half without stopping. And it's pretty well known that vitamin B6 is very helpful for carpal tunnel syndrome. Brewer's yeast, a really good quality brewer's yeast, has a lot of bees in it. It tastes good. You can get it at the health food store. Aloe vera, garlic, forever, garlic, ginger, turmeric, and no nightshades, or absolutely limiting. And this is very hard because, I've treated a lot of Mexican families, Italian families. They absolutely love huge amounts of tomato sauce. But if you've got a lot of joint problems and a lot of arthritis going on, and you're eating a lot of nightshades, which are tomatoes, potatoes, eggplant, that kind of thing, you really have to look at your diet. So what you do is you just stop that for a month and say, do I feel better? And if the answer is yes, then you've got an answer that'll get you going in the right direction, or eating it really in moderation. A lot of people are taking glucosamine and chondroitin in moderate amounts. You can get these little emergency packets for joint health. They have a little bit of fructose in them, but they're great for when you're hiking and you want to protect your joints a little bit. So a little glucosamine and chondroitin can go a long way. If you have problems with your hands, you can get little white gloves at Long's or something like that and put castor oil on it and sleep with it at night. Castor oil is an old Edgar Cayce remedy that penetrates into the joints and gives you some real relief. I always encourage people to get a polarity therapy treatment if you can find it, or especially an acupuncture treatment. I think acupuncture is fabulous for restoring life force and the joints. You can go onto the web and you can check into Oriental Medical Supply, or dial their 800 number, and you can get these little small metal rollers that you put on the finger like that, and then you roll it like that. So you can actually go to the movie theater with one of these. You can give them out to all of your friends, and it's an amazing feeling on the body. It's not painful, and it stimulates all of the micro points on your body like that. And you can literally wear it as a ring if you want, and then just keep doing it whenever you get a chance, and stimulate your whole body. They have other rollers like this that you might roll between your hands, or roll over different parts of your body and start to bring the life force through. And they also sell low-level magnets, and that can be very helpful. So we've done a lot. We've covered a lot of points, and I hope that they're really super helpful to you. And once you learn them, once you're successful with them, go and teach other people. Go and show them this DVD, because it's a revolution in the making for people how to work on their hands. You can use, if you get an injury to your hand, you can use homeopathic hypericum and homeopathic arnica. Hypericum is called arnica for the nerves. So if your nerves are jangled from being injured, that helps. Please remember that everything is energy. That finally, when you get down to it, it's not the physical body, that it's all divine energy moving through your body. And that as your energy becomes more clear, as your energy becomes more balanced, you become happier, you purify all the old poisons out of your body, and you literally become light. And this is everybody's divine right. I think it's possible. I don't think there are any exceptions. And that you find out that ultimately you're immortal. And if you want to get into the details, you could say maybe there's no death. And so that's important to remember. So I'm going to show you two more things, and then we're going to draw this to a conclusion. I'm very happy that you stayed with me. I'm very happy that you learned something new and can pass it on. And this work is really effective. These maps are not in the realm of theory. They're in the realm of fact. We know these points. We know they work. Acupuncture is 2,000 years old. The principles of Ayurveda come into polarity therapy, and they're 2,000, 3,000 years old. So pay attention to them. They really work. So this is a little meditation that I think is really fabulous. And it's so easy. It just involves touching the tips of each one of your fingers. So you touch your index finger, 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's say you're in a meditative state, and just do this for 5 minutes, and you'll see a difference. And you say sa, ta, na, ma. Sa, ta, na, ma. Life, death, infinity, rebirth, if you like. But let's stay with sa, ta, na, ma. So basically you're balancing each one of the intelligent circuits of your finger with your ether element, which is your highest energy in your body. So you're balancing with air, fire, water, earth. You're balancing with large intestine, pericardium, triple burner, heart, and small intestine. So you go sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma, sa, ta, na, ma. And you do that with your eyes closed. And you do that for 5 minutes, and then you just stop and feel what's happening in your body. And it can be very exciting. You're learning how to balance yourself. So keep that in mind and give it a practice. So drink a lot of water. And this is probably the most important part of the entire DVD. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it, if you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. Bye.